Hello and welcome to the Choralosophy Podcast. What you're about to hear is a demonstration of an amazing tool that I'm really excited to show you about. It's called Voce Vista Video, and the purpose of this demonstration is to give you, the teacher, a 21st century tool for teaching vowels. It no longer has to be your opinion whether or not the vowel is right. It no longer has to be you that is the bad guy when you tell them that is wrong. This is an exciting piece of software that I have been able to partner with on the Choralosophy Podcast, and I've been using it in my classroom now for a couple of years. And I've been excited and working behind the scenes on the show, trying to get Voce Vista to be a part of this show, and we've finally been able to make it happen. So this is about a 10-minute demonstration. If you are listening on the podcast channel, that's fine. You're going to hear some of the things, although I would recommend hopping over to YouTube just to see what the software looks like on the screen. And there is going to be in the future, very, very soon, a full-length episode on the concept of teaching vowels. It's something that gets asked about a lot online, and so I think this is going to be something that is a very helpful tool, but also packed into that full-length episode coming up will be the practical applications for how to use something like this in your classroom to build the concept in your students of what a vowel sounds like through what it looks like. In fact, Voce Vista's tagline is to see what the experts hear, and today you're going to get a chance to do that. So enjoy. So hello, I am here in my classroom making a short segment, I guess you could say, on the concept of what I call, and I've heard many people call, choral band-aid vowels. And so what I've done is I have come to my classroom where I have a pretty cool bit of technology where I can show students on a big screen what the overtone series looks like when they sing different vowels. And it's a really cool thing. It's a software called Voce Vista Video. Highly recommend it. And it shows them what sound, like all the sound. It's a very detailed picture of the sound, which I'll show you in a minute. And it shows them and helps them understand what makes us hear. So what allows a human to perceive that a certain vowel is occurring. And then we'll get into a little bit of the idea of choral band-aid vowels. I'll list some common ones. So first I'll show you the setup for what I've got here to show this to kids. So we've got a nice Yeti blue microphone here that can pick up sound from across the entire room. And then up on the screen here is the software. So what you can see here is you can see that the overtones that get louder and softer, the pattern changes. You see a picture of what E, A, O, U, those four vowels, sounds like. And you can see the A vowel is the second one, and you can see that it has the greatest number of enhanced overtones. The blue line at the squiggly line at the bottom is my vibrato. It shows what pitches I'm oscillating between over here on the keyboard, and then it shows the pitches of all the other overtones. Now up at the top you see the thick red bars, that's my formant. Okay, so that's the singer's formant, and you can see that on all four vowels they're approximately in the same pitch range. Now here's where it gets really cool. So yes, I'm going to add a frequency filter. You can see what that's done here is that has taken away all of the pitches except for the fundamental. And watch what that sounds like. It's almost as if you hear someone singing ooh underwater. Now I can expand the filter to hear my fundamental and my first overtone. Here's what that sounds like. You can hear that for the most part, you hear something that's starting to sound like oh. Here's a little bit more expansion. And at the third overtone, you're going to start to hear some variance in the vowel. Okay. Now we're going to get a more and more complete picture. Still pretty muted. And here you're going to hear some resonance again. Now this part's really cool. So we talked again about how the acoustical floor of the vowel sounds. So essentially, if you hear a singer, and this is true of almost all acoustic instruments, but the singing voice has some unique properties because we can manipulate the vocal tract more and create more of that amplification of the various overtones than most instruments can, or that any instrument can. So again, there's the oo. Okay. Now watch what happens if I play I don't know that this is a technical term, but I will play the acoustical ceiling of all of the vowels. What vowel do you hear? So now what I'm going to demonstrate is again, one of the things that leads to, I think, some of the use of these Band-Aid vowels in choirs, because most of our singers, again, don't sing with the kind of resonance that an adult would sing with, as their teacher would sing with, or any trained singer would. So you're not going to see much of that formant. You're going to be dealing mostly with the fundamental first, second, third, fourth, maybe fifth overtone that gets amplified. But first, they've got to have their folds touching, or else you're going to see almost all breathy sound. So here's an example. We all recognize that sound probably. Here's what it looks like. Okay, you can see there, I've got all those overtones present, like they are there, which is why you can hear that I was still singing ah, but I don't have any orange or red up in the formant area, which is why I don't have that squealo, and of course that can't happen until the folds are touching. But you also notice that the red bars themselves are quite faint. And that's the presence, the increased presence of all these yellow dots between the overtones. That's the white noise. So the microphone and the software is sensitive enough to pick up the white noise and show us. Now, you'll also notice in the background of the screen that there's lots of yellow. That's because I'm not in a totally silent room. Guilty party right there is making most of the white noise in my room. So you can get an idea of that. Intentionally high school sound there. Let's see what it looks like. Right, so here, my intention here was to show you where some young singers and young choirs, you notice that there is a consistency, with the exception of the O and the oo, between the E and the ah, and all of the vowels that don't involve my lips. You still see some of those overtones in the higher range there, but then when my lips come around it, I have eliminated some of those audible overtones. This is why choirs do Band-Aid vowels. Now I only have to tune those two. And you might be saying, well, my 7th graders or my 8th graders don't know anything about overtones, so I don't think that's the problem. We're not thinking about this stuff. Yes, they are. They don't know what to call them unless you teach them, but they do think about them because you can hear it. You can hear it intuitively. That's what makes it sound out of tune. If I have a vowel that I've wrapped my lips around, I now have less vibration in the room to contend with, and it's easier to get to that point when the concert's 3 days from now, and I've got to get my kids sounding somewhat blended. Then the easiest way to do it is to wrap the lips around. But then look what we lose. We lose all of that range, and we lose all of that frequency in the room, all of that vibration, and all of that energy. So I'd encourage you to spend some time with this concept with your kids. They can understand this. We teach the kids from the beginning of 9th grade about the overtone series, and we show them this software on the screen. And the other thing I would say with the benefits of this that I've discovered is when I put this software up in front of a voice student or in front of a choir, the beautiful thing about it is I no longer have to be the bad guy about vowels. I don't have to be the one that says, okay, I know you think you're singing an O, but you're not. Fix it. And then they go, but I think I am, so he's just mean, and he keeps telling me it's wrong. Now, all I have to do is put this up there and show them. I say, go. All right, sing it. Oh, did you see where we lost the O overtones? Oh, yeah. It's a mirror. It flips the sound around to them as a mirror, and it's not really designed for multiple singers at a time, but there are activities you can do with it. So in other words, this would not be the type of software that I would put up to have a whole choral piece with like 8 parts being sung and all of that, because you would just see a big red up on the screen. But you can do little 4-part exercises where you're going to line up a chord with the choir, and you can see you'll then see a red line where the bass part is, and you'll see a red line where the tenor part is. And it's a really cool exercise to see if we can get a major chord to be built with the basses creating a fundamental. And okay, tenors, can you place your red line exactly in the first overtone of the basses? And then add the altos, add the sopranos, create a major third that doesn't add red lines to the bass's pitch. They can see whether it's in tune. And it's amazing how instantly they start to adjust. So it's kind of a cool toy. If you're interested in this topic and questions about it, feel free to reach out, choralosophy@gmail.com, and I can kind of walk you through it further. And I encourage you to try tricks like this with your choirs. It is worth the time to try to figure out, and not even kind of scratching the surface of this today, but getting the choirs at certain point, even at the high school level, to be singing with a formant. That's when the music starts to get really exciting. They get the goosebumps, they can feel it in the room, the vibration is really exciting, and that just hooks them. So I had some fun making this with you today. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions.